Let's now move on to the last session of the day. It's a fireside chat titled Keeping the Users Safe, Women and Children. And for this session, we have Shakti Goel, Chief Architect and Data Scientist, Yatra Online, NS Nappinai, Supreme Court Advocate and Founder, Saathi. And the session will be moderated by Ritarshi Banerjee, Financial Express Online. Please join me in welcoming our panelists up on the stage.
Hello and welcome to the Fireside Chat. So, as the title suggests, we'll be talking about the digital landscape, especially around the safety of women and children. In today's digitally dynamic world, ensuring the digital safety has become an imperative. From cyberbullying and harassment to privacy concerns, the need for comprehensive strategies to bolster digital security is paramount. With this, I come to my first question for Nappinai. So in contrast to other demographics, what are the unique digital safety challenges do you think women and children get subjected or targeted towards?
I would put it that they're notably the softer target. So if you look at the way the crimes against women and children have evolved, particularly online. So on one hand, the very process of threatening the victim with exposure of either personal imagery or even content of any kind, it could even be an exchange of texts, etc., on online domains has resulted in further crimes being committed against these victims. So when you look at it from the legal perspective, and I would limit myself to the legal aspects of this query, I would say one is, are they a weaker section? Yes, indeed they are. And has the law identified them as a weaker section? Yes, indeed it has. So you do have certain remedies in law, be it under the Information Technology Act or under POCSO for children or under the Indian Penal Code, the general law where IT Act is not providing you certain sections. You can seek your remedies under each of these laws. So just to contextualize it to the question that you have asked, let's say, for example, you have a lady being subjected to blackmail, to use simple words, because some of her personal imagery has been captured. It could have even been consensual when she was in a relationship, right? And predominantly I've come across a lot of these cases of young girls who would have entered into relationships, maybe even in school or college, and then they are threatened with the use of this imagery, of exposure of the imagery, I would say, on online domains. So in these instances, it's really critical for them to know that they are not really soft targets the way perception is, and they have to take recourse to law, seek protections under law. So you could either look at it in terms of ensuring that such content does not reach online domains, or the most expedited process in terms of takedown of that content. So again, under the new intermediary guidelines of 2021, you have provisions which help in expedited takedowns of nude or partially nude also content, or even fabricated content, like we are now constantly speaking about deep fakes or morphed pictures or videos. Even those can be taken down within 24 hours of a complaint to the grievance officer of the platform.
So Shakti, we have seen discussions happening around the role of social media in ensuring digital safety. Like recently we saw government officials like Rajiv Chandrasekhar and Ashwini Vaishnav chairing sessions with social media platforms to talk about how important it is on their part to make sure that digital safety is ensured and it is preserved. So in that respect, how do you think social media platforms are performing in either increasing or mitigating digital safety risks?
Thank you, Ritarshi. My experience around social media, and there are like so many social media platforms, starting with Facebook, Instagram, InstaChat, WhatsApp, Telegram. All these actually keep coming out almost every day. See, they actually, the way I see it is, there are three things here. One is that they promote viral messaging, right? You can create groups on a platform, and if a post gets posted there, which may not be the post with the right content, it can easily get viral, right? The second thing is instant messaging, right? It is not that like you're sending a telegram which will take like 2 days to go to the other side. It's instant, right? There is an app called, Instagram, right? Yeah. Snapchat. All these work like that. So these actually help in promoting the message, and the message could be anything. It could be right or the wrong message. Now, the third problem with these social apps is that they are insensitive to the social context of the region that they operate in. Okay, so what that means is that let's say there is a picture of a woman that's posted with a name, and there's nothing wrong with the picture. It's like a fully clothed picture, right? So in the Western world, there's nothing wrong with it. But let's come to South Asia. South Asia can be very conservative. The communities can be hyper-local. Just having that image posted of a woman and nothing wrong with the image can cause a lot of damage to the reputation of the woman. And our society works in a way that the victim gets victimized further. So that is a serious challenge, right? And there's another issue, like it's almost impossible to trace as to who posted that message or that image. That actually makes things even worse. So, but with the advent of Gen AI and large language models, we can somehow mitigate this problem. So if you file a complaint to the social media platform, first of all, they should listen to your complaint and view it in the social context of the region. And secondly, they can do something called a sentiment analysis of that message. So you say, like, if you ask OpenAI or like, Palm 2 or something, say that, hey, this message has been posted and this is in this region of Pakistan, let's say, right? And I guess a picture of a woman and the name is there. Do you think that this is, there's something wrong with the message? And there's a good chance that it will say yes. This message can be offensive to the person, right? So, right now, social media helps a lot, but it can promote the evil also. But at the same time, their new technologies have come up to mitigate that.
Since you brought up the point of areas having that gap that maybe somebody in South Asia can see something in a conservative way, why do you think this gap exists? Is it because of some technological gap, or is it because of the mental barriers or something else?
See, like South Asia, the whole culture is like thousands of years old, right? 3,000-4,000 years old. So things are embedded there in the society. That's how the society thinks, right? If you go to a small town like a tier 3, tier 4 cities, the nice thing there is that the community is like a close-knit. The entire panchayat thing is like close-knit, right? And but so it is already embedded in the society. How to move away from that? I don't know. I guess a man may have an opinion on this. Yeah.
So coming back to Nappinai, in terms of first-hand knowledge, how important it is, do you think, for women and children to get access to first-hand knowledge? And adding to that, what do you think are the kind of measures that can be taken to make these demographic groups aware of digital safety and its concerns?
When you say first-hand knowledge of what?
First-hand knowledge of, making sure that they are not digitally vulnerable.
Awareness.
Practically awareness. Yeah.
Well, there is a lot of initiatives that the government has taken itself to ensure awareness amongst women and children. One of the things, in fact, in my introduction, the non-profit Saathi Foundation was mentioned. So one of the reasons I started Saathi Foundation, and where Saathi, as you know, stands for Cyber Friend, is in this context. That, if you are, we spoke about demographics in the first instance. So if you're a millennial, you're a youngster, and you are the master of the technology domain, and an adult comes and tells you how to conduct yourself on that technology domain, or tries to tell you do's and don'ts, you're not going to listen to them. Because the adult has already demoted their authority with respect to that technology to the younger person, right? So it's very critical for that person who is the user and who is the weak target or the soft target, I would say, to know personally what are the risks and threats involved with any particular domain so that they can keep themselves, safer. So I would definitely say awareness is a very, very important aspect of a preventive or protective measure to this end, and also keeping in mind the demographic, not just the demographic. Today, all of us are actually having reduced attention spans. So what I've done is I wrote this book also called Sassy Tales, but with a C for Cyber Saathi. So people call it C Sassy Tales. It's actually just C silent, but Sassy Tales, Cybercrime Stories and the Law. And the whole idea was to use the concept of storytelling, of giving fictional tales to explain what kind of risks abound in various online domains, not just online platforms, I would say digital domains, and how you can protect yourself and what are your remedies in law. So this is one way forward in terms of a safer online platform.
So, Shakti, I think we all can agree that the recent talks around deepfakes have gone up a notch. Like government officials have actively spoken on how deepfakes are a crucial threat to the Indian society. So, according to you, how are deepfakes enhancing issues like cyberbullying and online harassment in the current scenario?
Sure, Ritarshi. So there are 4 things we can look at. One is cyberbullying, as you mentioned, cyber stalking, impersonation, right, of your profile, so false profiles, and leakage of data. So here, cyberbullying and cyber stalking, social media is going to promote that. Now on top of that, we have got deepfakes. I hope like everyone understand, how the deepfakes work. Deepfake basically is a result of a tug of war between good and evil. So basically, the evil says that I'm going to create this artifact. Good says that no one is going to believe you because this is false, right? This is fake. So the evil tries harder. It tries so hard that the good finally has to give in and says that, what you have produced, now I can no longer differentiate, right? That is how deepfakes are created. There's a technology called GAN, Generative Adversarial Neural Networks. Now, there is people have a way of using technology. They can use it for evil or for good. So the bad side of this is that cyberbullying, cyber stalking, all that can be promoted with deepfakes. For example, revenge porn, right? That is like one example, and that can lead to like some extreme consequences, like women have committed suicides because of that, right? Deepfakes can also damage the brand, the image of the brand, which has nothing to do with women and children, but like that's the harm they can do. They can impact the political outcome of an election. There are companies, actually, I was like reading about it, which will charge you $100 to $500 to create a campaign using the deepfake technology, right? So, all this is there. Yes, deepfake can cause some serious harm by cyberbullying the person. And the problem here is that by the time the person comes to know that, that my bad image has been posted, like a bad picture has been posted, it's too late. Damage is already done by then. But at the same time, does it mean that we should stop working on technologies like deepfake? Just consider like nuclear energy. On one side, an atom bomb was built, right, and it was used. But at the same time, nuclear energy is used in medicine, radiation therapy. So there are good sides of things. This neural network technology and machine learning AI, the very basic of it was conceived in 1950. It was called a perceptron, right? So like that is the cell of a neural network. GAN or deepfakes came out in 2010, 2012, right? Almost like 60 years later. So much research has gone in till then. Computational speed has increased. The amount of data we can store and process has increased. There's a Moore's law which says that the number of transistors in a chip will double every year. Now we can have 100 million to 200 million transistors in a chip, things are happening for the good also. So research on technologies like deepfake has to continue. If we suffocate, right? If we like come up with laws to say that no, you cannot do any more research or development of deepfake, I think that is going to do more harm than good, right? So all these things have to be looked into. And now wait for if and when quantum AI becomes a reality, deepfake will be nothing, So much sophisticated technology is going to come out that it will be virtually impossible to detect what is true, what is real, and what's not real.
So, Nappinai, I think in this year we have seen certain bills getting implemented, such as the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023 by the Government of India to make sure that digital safety is preserved. So, according to you, what are the other critical legal parameters do we have to take into account so as to make sure that the digital safety is safe not only for us, but also for the future generations as well?
A lot needs to be done. Even with respect to the DPDP Act, which you mentioned, we have to wait and see how the regulations will pan out. So it would be premature to comment on it. However, there are loopholes which are likely to be exploited within the DPDP Act itself, including profiling of children and women. So that's something I'm still waiting to see how it's going to be plugged through the regulations. Now, when you look at law and its intersection in terms of how does it act as a protector, right? Let me start off with what Shakti talked about in terms of deepfakes and quantum AI, etc., which is likely to come up. Firstly, I would really like to emphasize on the last part which he said, that we cannot just throw out technology because it can harm. One of the classic instances where India led by example was when the Supreme Court, in a suo motu case, which it had taken note of, which we loosely call as Prajwala versus Union of India, but the citation is in Re Prajwala, letter dated 18/5/2015, violent videos and recommendations, fairly long citation. But in that case, the critical aspect of what the Supreme Court did through an order of court, and orders of the Supreme Court are precedent law. Right? So through that, what it did was it evolved a process where artificial intelligence can be used as a protective tool. So a technical committee was appointed, a government committee, and through the committee's consensus proposals, recommendations were made an order of the court. And through that, you now have speedier takedowns through specific reporting mechanisms. Platforms, including social media, etc., undertaking to evolve AI technology, whereby at the stage of when you upload before it hits public also, they are capable of identifying certain kinds of criminal content and isolating it, right? So the next step that Prajwala mandated, and which is now in the hands of the government to implement, is for that kind of isolated content to, for AI to be evolved in such a way that isolated content, it will isolate the content immediately upon identification and leave it to the platforms to verify at their own pace, and then upload it if it is genuine content and not content which amounts to an offense. Particularly women and children will benefit with that, because again, it makes them lesser of a soft target, right? So these are all remedies which came out of a case before the Supreme Court. I already told you that you have provisions under the IT Act and the IPC, which do give you a lot of succor. There is one very interesting addition in the intermediary guidelines of 2021, again with respect to the use of automated tools as a protective measure, but there it stops itself by saying that it is open to the platforms to implement automated tools, and if they identify violative content or illegal content, then a notice is to be issued to the user. It stops with that. It hasn't gone the whole way in terms of what the Prajwala case, formulated or thought about. So we are still at the cusp of evolving laws, and the Digital India Act is likely to come up. And from whatever public announcements have been made and consultations held with respect to the Digital India Act, I think we will be able to expect a lot of specific provisions dealing with online harms, and particularly with respect to women and children. Two more developments which are very critical for this sector. One is that the Indian Penal Code is also being relooked, and it contains a lot of cyber-related provisions. So chances are online harms may be dealt with under the new Indian Penal Code also, which is called the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Right? That's a very important thing, which is already on the anvil. The draft has already been submitted. It's before a parliamentary committee and may see the light of day in the winter session itself. And finally, by 2024, there is an international process which has been ongoing for 2 years. I've been part of Prajhala to this ad hoc committee, etc. The UN has, under UNODC, formed an ad hoc committee where we've been evaluating a new soft law for cyber crimes, transborder crimes. And that draft text already contains two very critical provisions for protecting the rights of children. And also a separate provision which will impact women, which deals with issues like revenge porn, etc. And once that is passed, then if countries including India are participating, so you can imagine the number of jurisdictions in which you will then have municipal laws adapting that soft law into local law, and which will then provide better remedies and speedier justice for women and children.
Godspeed to that. So my final question is for Shakti. So how important do you think are the different kinds of technology such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, Internet of Things, and among others? How important do you think are these technologies to preserve the future of the global digital landscape?
Sure. So technologies have created the problem. Technologies will have to find a solution, right? Blockchain, let's see, how the data leakage happens. One mode of leakage is when the APIs, application program interface, is a piece of software that connects two different systems. So when one system is talking to the other system, APIs are used and they actually transfer data. If the API is insecure, right, it can lead to a leakage of information, and it can be of any nature, right? It can be linked to women, children, it could be financial, whatever, right? So here there are technologies like blockchain technology, which says that when someone even accesses an API or that piece of software and lands up into a database, your data is secured by blockchain, right? Even someone has been able to break the jail and enter, right? They can still not access data because the API is backed by blockchain, right? Something like that. The other thing is that I think that Gen AI and large language models have a great role to play. Just imagine that there is a child in a chat room and he or she is chatting with a stranger. How do I know that the stranger is a child or a person or an adult impersonating as a child, right? So here, what the platform can do is it can analyze the pattern in the chat, right? And if it seems something is wrong, right, there is a technique called anomaly detection. There's a machine learning technique called anomaly detection. It will say that this question that has been asked or these words that have been used are out of the ordinary, right? And it will immediately flag, maybe the platform, the parent or someone saying that, look, something wrong has happened here. Similarly, large language models, they actually understand us like a human being, right? Otherwise, what happened earlier was that if you were to say a sentence, you would have to break down the sentence into nouns and pronouns and verbs, adjectives and all that to understand the intent of that sentence. But LLMs say that you say something to me, I will understand what you're trying to say. So if I send this whole chat message to LLM, it will tell us, again doing some sort of analysis, sentiment analysis, that something is wrong or something is not wrong there. We can design chips, So if you're using deepfake algorithms, the chips should be able to identify that a deepfake algorithm is being used here, and the output of this algorithm is an image which is a fake, and it can embed a message in there, in the image, saying that this image is fake. Otherwise, it's practically impossible to tell what a deepfake is. If someone points out that I know that this is a deepfake because the eyelid movements are not natural. Then the researchers will work on improving the defect technology so that the eyelid movements now become natural. So all these things can be prevented by using other forms of technology. So options, I think, are endless here.
So with this, we have come to the end of our panel. Thank you so much, panelists, for being a part of this much needed discussion. And thank you everybody for being here. Over to you, Vibhav.
With this, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program. Thank you everyone for being a part of our Digi Fraud and Safety Summit. Before we move out, we would like to thank our title sponsor Google, knowledge partner Deloitte, and celebration partner Radico Khaitan. I would like to end by saying a few lines that I prepared based on the Oscar-winning speech of Leonardo DiCaprio. After he won the award for his role in The Revenant, he said, "Let's not take this planet for granted. I do not take tonight for granted." On that note, I would like to say that let's not take data for granted. I do not take my digital privileges for granted. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Have a good night.